Next, the very edge of your breath, you feel an ancient vibration pulsing through marrow and memory. A reverberation older than Eden, yet tailored to the longitude of this precise heartbeat in your chest. And it is thundering one explosive command. Act now, because God's encrypted dispatch is addressed to your secret name hidden beneath the scars. The same name, Isaiah 45. 3 describes when it promises treasures of darkness and riches stored in secret places. You, yes you, are the vault he intends to open so the world can taste a liberation it has only dared to imagine in hushed, midnight hopes. Thrill chills your spine because you sense that heaven is bending its galaxies to eavesdrop on whether you will crack open that vault or clutch in fear. And the spotlight of eternity is searing through every excuse you have rehearsed. The finances that aren't ready, the resume you think is too thin, the relationships frayed by betrayal, the guilt that still claws your conscience even after the blood has erased its legal claim. You are standing at the fulcrum of prophecy and procrastination, and all of creation is groaning for which way you will tilt. To obliterate hesitation in advance, I challenge you right now, within this first torrent of sentences, to carve 3 sevens, 777, into the comment river below. Do it with the conviction that Revelation's 777 seal is more than numerology. It is the tactical dispatch code that signals to angelic battalions you are awake, aligned, and armed for assignment. Your public imprint of 777 is a bold refutation of every private whisper insisting your voice is inconsequential. It is the shepherd boy flinging his stone at algorithms and principalities alike, demonstrating that digital valleys are also battlefields where giants fall. Do not brush this off as a gimmick or a cute engagement trick, because heaven archives every confession typed in raw faith. Matthew 10 verse 32 guarantees that whoever acknowledges the Son before men will be acknowledged before the Father. So your 3 simple numerals rattle the corridors of the throne room louder than cathedral choirs. Having obeyed, feel how the atmosphere shifts, how oxygen seems heavier with possibility, because immediate obedience thins the veil, and you now stand shoulder to shoulder with patriarchs who moved at once when summoned. Abram leaving Ur without GPS, Peter leaping from a boat at one word, Mary accepting the overshadowing before biology could explain it. Their speed magnetized miracles, and yours will too. Yet here lies a shocking secret. God has deliberately allowed storms to bruise you because bruises produce oil, and oil is the only currency recognized at the gates of impossible territories. Without pressure, olives remain ornamental. Under crushing, they become fuel that lights temple lamps. Every season you labeled demonic may in fact be the furnace, forging your authority to legislate in realms where timid prayers evaporate. So do not curse the memory of being lied on, abandoned, underpaid, or underestimated, because those injustices are now spiritual subpoenas authorizing you to decree freedom over those still imprisoned by the same chains. The enemy thought he buried you in failure, but heaven planted you for harvest. Psalm 126 verse 5 prophesies that those who sow in tears will reap in joy. And your tears have saturated the soil long enough. Prepare to wield the sickle. Beneath the surface of daily monotony lies a concealed corridor, a hidden training ground disguised as routine. And God has been slipping coded lessons into mundane errands, a cashier's unexpected kindness reminding you that favor is portable. A detour traffic jam training you to recognize the voice that reroutes destiny around lethal collisions, an obscure verse flashing across your feed exactly when doubt hit like artillery. Each moment has been a breadcrumb trail leading you to this overwhelming convergence. And now convergence demands convergence action. You cannot loiter at the doorway of purpose any longer. The hinges are creaking from angelic pressure, pushing it open. and delay would be to trample on holy choreography. Remember the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 squandered the now, trusted tomorrow, and woke to a locked gate echoing with lost opportunity. Do not mirror their miscalculation. Oil your lamp with relentless preparation. Draft the business plan you have shelved. Outline the podcast that exposes hidden bondage. Design the app that turns compassion into daily utility. Compose the worship anthem that will break suicidal atmospheres in dorm rooms you will never visit physically, but will invade through sound waves. Every blueprint lodged in your spirit is time-stamped with urgency, because someone else's deliverance is shackled to your initiative. Let Ezekiel 3, verse 18 pierce you. If you fail to warn the wicked, their blood echoes against your silence, meaning passivity is complicity. This is not melodrama. It is covenant mathematics. Speaking of mathematics, here is an equation the enemy hates. Promise minus obédience égale fantaisie. Promise plus obédience égale manifestation. James 2 verse 17 bluntly declares that faith without works is dead. A corpse of belief cannot reproduce miracles. Therefore, mobilize practical steps. Wake 30 minutes earlier to saturate dawn with declarations. Budget aggressively. Sow seed is always in your fist. Fast until flesh whimpers and spirit roars. Network strategically with those who stretch, not shrink you. Schedule ruthless solitude so whispers of direction aren't muffled by constant chatter. These disciplines are scaffolding around the skyscraper God is erecting from your life's foundation. And at the apex of that scaffolding, He is installing authority no soul has wielded precisely in your configuration. Picture Jesus in Matthew 16 handing Peter keys of the kingdom. Keys represent legislative access, yet keys in used rust into irrelevance. So heaven is issuing a stern alert. Unlock something this week. Speak healing over a co-worker's chronic pain. Break generational curses at the family table by renouncing them aloud. Prophesy promotion over your department, then back it with excellence that embarrasses mediocrity. Lay hands on a barren bank account and command Joseph's anointing of multiplication. Do not rationalize yourself out of bold declarations by quoting economic forecasts. Truth overrides facts whenever faith wields it. The Red Sea didn't part because Moses had a tidal physics degree. It obeyed because covenant authority outranks natural law. When you open your mouth saturated with scripture, you legislate atmospheres, and atmospheres shape outcomes. The devil's premier strategy is to convince you that your vocal cords are ornamental. He knows they are arsenals. Refuse the gag order. Every syllable you release in alignment with promise is a missile slamming into demonic infrastructure. Some infrastructures stand behind faces you know, that relative steeped in addiction, that district rife with corruption, that school where depression stalks lockers. Do not curse people. Curse the structures strangling them. Jesus rebuked the spirit behind Peter's misguided words, not Peter's soul. Harness that discernment while you deploy verbal artillery. Keep your spirit attuned to secret intel heaven reveals in odd flashes. A name surfaces in prayer. A street sign glows with sudden significance. A dream drips with vivid colors. Do not shrug these off. Journal them immediately because many are time-sensitive instructions. One whispered city name could be the location of your breakthrough conference. One unfamiliar face in a vision could be the intercessor assigned to birth your ministry. Treat impressions like gold dust rather than random static. Steward them and more will flow. Luke 8:18 states, to whoever has stewardship, more shall be given. On the topic of stewardship, guard your eye gates and ear gates with militant precision. Because the content you digest constructs internal altars, some to Yahweh, some to idols promising comfort, but paying in bondage. Your calling cannot feast on scandal reels, anxiety-soaked news, or pornographic distortion. It requires clean fuel. Philippians 4 verse 8 is your content filter. Whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable. Consistent ingestion of that diet will detox your spiritual taste buds so you crave holiness over hype, depth over distraction. Out of that sanctified appetite will rise supernatural creativity. The world starves for originality because sin recycles in endless loops. Only heaven sources fresh patterns. Expect God to download inventive solutions. A microloan platform that flips poverty narratives, a sustainable energy prototype gleaned from Exodus Tabernacle blueprints, a curriculum that weaves prophetic insight into STEM education. Guard these downloads from premature exposure. Joseph's brothers proved that sharing dreams too early invites assassination. Wait until roots spread before showcasing fruit. Even then, calibrate your circle. Jesus shared transfiguration with only 3. Large crowds watch miracles. Small circles inherit mantles. Choose wisely. Amid this strategy, do not neglect the muscle of audacious giving. Radical generosity is a crowbar that pries open financial strongholds. Proverbs 11 verse 25 says the generous prosper and refresh others. South, where you want to go? Plant money in ministries walking in the authority you crave, in missionaries storming darkness you feel called to topple, in community projects that embody the kingdom to skeptics. Your seed is a prophecy about your future disguised as currency. Hell trembles when givers laugh at lack. Speaking of trembling, the demonic realm is convulsing because you are reading these words. They constitute legal notice that eviction is imminent. James 4 verse 7 promises the adversary will flee when you resist. But resistance is not passive. It is steel-spined repudiation mixed with worship that scorches his ears. Lift psalms not as soothing background, but as sonic warfare. Remember Jericho's walls crumbled under sustained trumpet blasts and collective shout. Your living room can host similar demolition if you weaponize praise. Bind anxiety by belting out declarations until your ceiling vibrates. Chain snap when lungs refuse to whisper what hell is screaming. In that vibration, God releases blueprints for rapid mobilization. Some of you will relocate within weeks, guided by a single confirmation, because geography is prophetic. Certain regions incubate dormant gifts. Others will pivot careers, leaving stable paychecks for kingdom ventures that look insane until Red Sea openings prove otherwise. Do not demand step 10 before you obey step 1. Manna fell daily, not monthly. Trust the progressive unveiling. Every act of obedience repaints the map, unlocking resources that would stay invisible to a stationary traveler. Consider the lepers in 2 Kings 7. As they limped toward enemy territory, the Lord amplified their footsteps into an army's roar. Movement multiplied into miracle. Limp if you must, but move. Meanwhile, brace for relational pruning. When you accelerate, some companions will resent the pace. Nostalgia will beg you to slow, but Acts 27 warns that staying with a sinking ship drowns destiny. Bless them, release them, sail on. God will replace subtraction with covenant allies. Jonathan spirits who covenant at the cost of personal advancement. Ruth spirits who cling through famine. Recognize them by their fruit. They celebrate without envy, correct without contempt, and pray without prompting. Link arms. Unity commands blessing. Psalm 133. With that blessing comes amplified warfare. Because larger scorches antagonize bigger dragons. Yet fear not, the Lion of Judah roars louder. Understand your armor. Truth belts your identity. Righteousness guards vulnerable organs. Peace turns feet into stealth weapons. Faith extinguishes fiery headlines. Salvation shields the mind from identity theft. The word slices lies, and prayer tunes radio to heavenly airstrikes. Wear it daily. Sleeping Christians are spiritual streakers. Night watch intercession at 3 a.m. will become your secret tower between 3 and 4 dimensions thin, and unpoliced territories are ripe for occupation. Stand there, decree Isaiah 54 verse 17 over your bloodline, blast worship that rattles restless shadows, and record visions downloaded in the hush. These night logs will steer day exploits. Some mornings you will wake having solved problems engineers wrestle with, because Daniel 2 intelligence still operates for praying dreamers. Do not apologize for solved mysteries. Testify so others hunger. Testimony is replication DNA. Revelation 19 verse 10 says it prophesies future miracles. Share wisely. Some ears hunger, some hunt, yet never muzzle your breakthrough. It undoes voodoo spells of hopelessness cast by cyclical news. Speaking of news, let your life become headline evidence that God still interrupts statistics. Doctors may predict chronic decline, but your healed organs will rewrite medical journals. Banks may label you high risk, but your debt-free turnaround will revise actuarial tables. Genealogies may forecast divorce, but your 50-year covenant will educate skeptics on the glue of grace. These outcomes are not distant. They incubate in the womb of your immediate yes. Therefore, swallow this final directive. Channel every ounce of trepidation into kinetic trust, because courage is not the absence of fear. When ego tempts you to hoard glory, remind it that crowns are gathering dust until they are cast at Jesus' feet. You strive not for self-exaltation, but for multiplied worship across generations. With that motive pure, risk becomes worship. Leap, knowing the everlasting arms beneath surpass any safety net you could engineer. Psalm 37 verse 23 promises he delights in your steps. Even if you stumble, he upholds you with his hand. Picture a toddler learning to walk. Every wobble is celebrated, not scolded. Your Father choreographs a similar celebration as you lunge toward purpose. Let that image nuke perfectionism. Progress outweighs polish. Launch the beta, tweak on the fly, iterate under grace. History rewards starters far more than dreamers who died outlining. In sum, the hourglass is hemorrhaging grains. Angels are poised with scrolls. Demons are panicking. Creation is holding its breath. And heaven's message is flashing in neon across your spirit. Act now. If you postpone, the opportunity mutates into someone else's assignment. God's purpose will not fail, but you could forfeit the joy of participation. Therefore, inhale faith, exhale reluctance, and surge forward until even Satan's archives must concede that on this day, a once timid soul detonated with kingdom fire and altered the trajectory of countless destinies. This is your irrevocable summons. Rise, roar, and do not look back.